There I am. Hello there. Hi there, Deadhead Land. It's Happycat, and I know it's been a little bit since I've gone live. And hold on a second, I've got an echo in my ear. There we go. Always have this little bit of starting a live where you got to make sure that you're live on various channels that you're supposed to be on, and then make sure that you're not hearing yourself with a 10-second delay in your ear. So, anyways, welcome everyone. Hi, it's good to see you all. The comments are active. The chat is active on YouTube and on Facebook and wherever you happen to be watching this on your local Deadhead Land TV station. And if you're not getting Deadhead Land locally, be sure to tell your local provider that I want my DHL TV. Anyways, if you have a comment, if you have a question, if you just want to say hi, please do chat in with us. Oh, I see a little comment went out about our Deep Blue Jam live in the tip jar there. That was actually from a show that we did a couple of months ago with Lauren Rowan's Deep Blue Jam. So I'll see if I can clear that off of the Facebook. But anyways, ignore that comment there. We're here actually to talk about High Sierra Music Festival this year. And I have a friend of mine here who happens to be a producer of High Sierra Music Festival. And he's here to tell us about this year's festival. Just a little bit before I bring Dave on, I want to let you know that I'm a big High Sierra fan. I'm not necessarily what they call a High Sierra lifer. I mean, I have been going for many years, but I haven't gone every year. I did a little research, and my first High Sierra was 1999 in Bear Valley. I think I went 2000, 2001, 2002. I was part of a group called Camp Groove that eventually evolved into Bitch and Kitchen. I took a few years off, but I came back in 2008 and went most years, I think, from 2008 to about 2019. I don't think I've been back since the pandemic. They did have to cancel a couple of years. They brought it back. And this year looks as good or better than ever. And so anyways, I'm excited. I'm planning on going this year back to Quincy, Quincy, California, which is where the festival's held. Cute little town, wonderful little drive to get there. It takes a couple hours, but it's well worth the drive. It's beautiful there. And it's just such a great spot for a festival. I've had so many wonderful, magical memories there over the years. It's just one of my friends likes to call it the happiest place on earth. I know that's somebody else's slogan, and Deadhead Land's kind of misappropriated that myself. But it is a really wonderful place to both be with friends, enjoy being in the Sierras, listen to some of the best music you've ever heard. And what's always really fun is you'll always discover your new favorite band there. So anyways, to talk about festivals past and this year's festival, let me introduce my friend, Dave Margulies. Dave, here you are.
Hey there,
Welcome.
Happycat. How you
Hi.
doing, man?
Good to see you, and
Good
welcome
to see
to
you.
Deadhead Land
Yeah,
TV.
yeah. Thanks. First, I just want to wish a happy Father's Day to all the dads out there.
Oh, yes, indeed, and happy Father's Day to you. And
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank
very
you.
good
Yeah,
stuff.
my boy, he actually built the High Sierra website this year.
Very
So,
good. I
if
was
you
thinking
happen
about
to
that
know.
when I was clicking through it, that Kai had put this together, and a really nice website, easy to follow around, and highsierramusic.com, and there on the bottom of the screen as well. Yeah.
He called me this morning and he said, Dad, I have a Father's Day present for you. He said, I should be done building the High Sierra app for the festival by the end of the day. So he's on that, busy working on that right now too. So we're gonna have an app again this year, and we're also bringing back the old school program guide that we used to, the little pocket guide that we used to print up, that we stopped printing when we came back from the pandemic. So our last year doing that was 2019, but we're gonna have, people have said you should bring back the pocket guide with the schedules, because a lot of people, they want to put their phones down for the weekend and they don't want to have to rely on their phone. So it's a nice place to sort of leave all of those things behind and really drop into being present with the music and the community. So we figured we'd do both. We for the folks who like their devices, we'll have the app, and for the folks who don't want to have their devices carrying around, we'll have the pocket guide for them too. So
Well,
So
very cool. I did always like that guide, and it was nice. And sometimes even just take the fold it out so the schedule pages were just like right there, because yeah, you're seeing a band and you're going, wait, what did I want to do next? You don't have that in your mind while you're enjoying the music. It's great just to have that little reference, and that's and then the phones don't always work. Then you're keeping them charged and this and that. So yeah, that's a great idea. It's yeah.
yeah.
Well, good stuff. Yeah, yeah. So give me just a little history. How have you been involved with the festival since the very beginning?
No, I used to go to the festival in the very beginning as a fan. One of my all-time favorite bands from New Orleans, the Radiators, were a cornerstone of High Sierra back in the day. And so I would go up to Leland Meadows to go see them. And my first year was year 2, the second year, and it was an incredible year. The Radiators played, David Bromberg played, and I went back. I went back every year from '92 until I became a partner in '95. But back in the early days, it was small, but it was a very vital crowd, and some amazing performances. John Prine played there. J.J. Cale played there. Ani DeFranco, before she became the Ani DeFranco that we know today. But that's kind of been one of the hallmarks of High Sierra is catching bands on their way up.
Right. And I think I knew about it from the beginning. I was a vendor back in the days. I used to vend at Bill Graham festivals and stuff. So I had gotten on some mailing lists. So I got invited as a vendor back then. And for whatever reason, just wasn't able to make it up. So like I said, 99, I did a little research, was my first one at Bear Valley, and String Cheese and Bella Fleck. And, I think that was the big attraction, really, was String Cheese at the time. Yeah.
Yeah. That was pretty much right when, they were starting out too. And Yonder Mountain was just coming up, as they were coming up around that time. But I think the reason why you didn't come to High Sierra was because Jerry was still alive and the Dead were still playing. And
that was part of it. That was my focus. I have to admit,
there were definitely some. So High Sierra started in '91. Jerry passed in '95, and High Sierra was producing shows. We did a show in Vegas after the Dead at Sam Boyd with did a Zero and the Radiators late night show at the Aladdin Theater. And I was part of that. And that was kind of my initial foray into getting involved with High Sierra, helping to produce that show. And then I came on as a partner in 1995.
Okay, very good. And then you've been with them ever since. And I know the festival got bigger and bigger for a while there. And the move to Quincy was really a big part of that, I think, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was, it was kind of the heyday of the festival explosion, and High Sierra was one of the OG ones, and had a pretty solid reputation for being a musicians festival. And it had a very fertile life for quite some time, but things changed after we had to take a break from COVID and the pandemic, and it hasn't really rebounded in that way. So it's been a challenge since COVID.
Yeah, I guess that you canceled 2 years. You couldn't do the festival, and that's it's challenging for everybody, for all the businesses that impacted. On the plus side for the festival goers, it's a little smaller size, I guess. Not that we want to promote that, but it's never been a big, super crowded festival. I've been to giant festivals like Big Blocken Festival and other things, and Bonnaroo. It's always been even at its biggest, always just a very friendly festival, easy to move around.
Yeah,
direct
totally.
access to a lot of the artists. They're right there camping with everyone, and
yeah, it's very user friendly.
Yeah,
and it's very we call it the ultimate intimate music festival experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much what it is. It's I think the most amount of tickets we ever sold was like 7,500 tickets back in like 2015 or 2015. So it's fallen off since the pandemic to probably about half that in terms of ticket sales. So it's still a robust community, but we've it's definitely scaled down.
Right.
But the music hasn't. That's
No,
for sure.
you're still getting top level acts. I mean, I know from a lot of my friends who are musicians, they love to play at High Sierra. It's a great supportive audience. It's a really fun place to be. Um, and I'm over the years, you've had all the great people in both the jam music community. You've had bluegrass, all sorts of people when they're people don't know who they are, and then they become really big, and then they still come back to High Sierra. I remember was it 2015 or 2016 Trey Anastasio band. I know you've had Widespread Panic, you've had Mo, you've had certainly String Cheese.
My Morning Jacket.
Yeah.
We had Billy Strings when we paid Billy Strings $500, and he was the last name on the bill.
And I think I was there that year. I seem to remember everybody was raving about him, and I missed his set because I tend to follow Lebo around, so
Yeah.
I'm a big Lebo fan. So
with good
I was
reason.
probably seeing Lebo that night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the point is that you have somebody like a Billy Strings on the scene and in the mix of the festival, and that's kind of the Easter egg hunt about High Sierra. It's like finding that next star, because they're there in the mix, and it's fun to discover who those next stars are going to be. I have a sense of who that's going to be this year, or several of them, but there's definitely one of them that I want to talk about, and I'm sure some people are familiar with her because she's been playing everywhere and getting a lot of great exposure. She played with Trey on the Live for Live music show at the Beacon Theater in New York City with Peter Frampton when Trey shared the stage with Cher. She was on the Grammys. She played live on the Grammys. Her name is Grace Bowers. And her band is Grace Bowers and the Hodgepodge. She's an 18-year-old gal originally from Northern California, lives in Nashville now, and she is just one incredible guitar player. And she's cute as a button, and she's just got this amazing stage presence. And she's 18 years old, but she plays guitar like she's Jeff Beck. I mean, she's just got this incredible expression with her instrument that belies her years. So she's playing on Sunday night, and I would urge everybody not to miss her.
Okay, yeah, and I've heard a lot about Grace Bowers, and I haven't had the chance to see her yet. Videos and on the streams and such, but I haven't seen her in person. So, and that's the other thing too. I love video, and I make videos, and I love watching streams, but there's nothing like being in the live music experience. And one of the things about High Sierra is it's just such a supportive environment for you to just be in the music, for you to kind of let go of your worries, your day-to-day life. It's the holiday weekend and all that stuff. By the time you've gotten to the site, you're able to shed a lot of stuff. You're there, you're in the fresh air, and you can just be in the music and not have a lot of worries about anything else, and experience artists that I've seen in lots of other places, but just experience them in such a deeper way. So it's such a great place to be. And wow. So Grace Bowers, who else are you excited about this year? I know you book the people and bring them in, but
yeah. Well, I'm super excited about the return of a longtime High Sierra family band, and that's the Slip, coming with the Barr brothers, Andrew and Brad Barr, and we're going to have them. They'll be playing every day of the festival in one configuration or another. So the first couple of days we'll have the Slip with Andrew and Brad Barr and Mark Friedman on bass. Mark's got to fly back to the East Coast for a date with Ryan Montbleu that he's doing that weekend. Mm-hmm. So we'll do the Slip on Thursday and Friday. We'll also do Surprise Me, Mr. Davis with Nathan Moore joining those guys. And then Mark leaves, and Nathan will stay on site and do a few sets of his own. And the Barr brothers will stay on site and do a few sets of their own as well. So we'll get plenty of the Barr brothers and the Slip and Surprise Me, Mr. Davis and Nathan Moore. And that's about as that's about as old school High Sierra family as it gets right there. So,
Absolutely. And that's I know, like, from people who are High Sierra regulars and the lifers and stuff, that's really exciting news. And that's one of those bands, if you're not familiar with, definitely go check them out. You are not going to be disappointed. And yeah, Surprise Me, Mr. Davis is always a blast as well. So
yeah, they just released a new song coming from their new record. It's out on Spotify now. So if you search the Bar Brothers, there's a new track out there now, and the new record's going to be amazing. So keep your eyes
great.
out.
And I'll dig that up, and
Yeah.
I'll post that link out on Deadhead Land as well. Great. Yeah.
Cool.
Really
Yeah.
good stuff. And then there's ALO is frequent, not every time, but frequent band there. And Lebo is frequently known for his sit-ins all over with so many different bands over the years. So I know that's always a big part of it. And we have a lot of Lebo fans out there.
Oh gosh, yeah, yeah, and also, I mean, in the Deadhead land, certainly a new rising star is Daniel Donato and his band Cosmic Country. So Daniel will
Yes.
be coming out to High Sierra and he'll be closing out the grandstand stage one night and then doing a late night for it'll be a sort of a late night with Daniel Donato and Cosmic Country. So have you seen Daniel play?
I have, and he also, he did he was playing with Phil towards the end there last year. He did a few things with Phil last year, and I know Phil really loved him, and
He
unfortunately
loved
didn't get
Phil
more.
too. Had a chance to speak to him about it, and he was just blown away by how much he learned and the depth of his connection with Phil and what it opened up for him musically, and a deepening of his understanding of the music of the Grateful Dead, which he's had, ever since high school. But he just stepped into it in a much richer way. So
wow, yeah, it was what a great opportunity to get to play with Phil. And that personally, that's a dream of mine that will never be fulfilled. Will be Phil and Friends at High Sierra Music Festival. Is something I always wished would happen, but put in a little hint for next year, maybe the Terrapin Family Band. But
yeah,
I know Graham's played there a lot.
Yeah, I got chills when you said that, because that was that was, I mean, Bobby's played there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a regret. I mean, we tried to get Phil, but it would have been so great, because Phil
absolutely,
he did so much for the community, and really is responsible for a whole, I mean, this line. Look, if it weren't for the Grateful Dead, there would be no High Sierra Music Festival.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. Let me just say that first and foremost. I mean, we all came out of the Grateful Dead experience, and that fueled our passion for music and live music and what we do today. So make no bones about that. Like, no Grateful Dead, there's no High Sierra Music Festival. It's certainly, I mean, half these bands on here have been touched by the music of Phil Lesh and the Grateful Dead. So
absolutely, and so many people that are playing there. You've got Holly Bowling, I know, is playing, and she played a lot with Phil and Friends. And but you have is Natalie Cressman there this year?
Oh yeah, Natalie's going to be
Natalie's
there. Jen Hartwick's going to be there.
Hartwick, they both played with Phil, as much, not as much as they played with Trey, but a lot. As much as Phil played, he loved having them in the band. And I know, my dear friend and one of my favorite people, Ross James and Scott Law, and their band Cosmic Twang, played High Sierra several times, and actually that's one of the videos I got lined up to play afterwards. And I know there's so many more artists there, Lebo and other people that we've already mentioned, who had the opportunity to play with Phil and that were impacted by the community and experience at Terrapin Crossroads. So people come to me a lot, and because they know I was so involved there. I didn't work for the place. I was just, there every night. I don't have kids, so I hung out at Terrapin a lot. But they come to me a lot, and they talk about how much they miss it. And I certainly miss it, but it's nothing lasts forever. I mean, nothing you can hold for very long, as Jerry said, or Hunter said. But the energy from Terrapin Crossroads has not gone away. It's just kind of spread out. And the deep impact that has had on so many musicians in our community, and literally probably, you're right. Probably, at least half the musicians that are in bands that are playing at High Sierra, the impact that it's had on them and the way that people can play with each other in such an easier way now that was inspired by what Phil brought to them. So yeah, it's a big part of it. And one of the things that I loved about Terrapin Crossroads is the community that went around there. That's one of the things I really love about High Sierra. It's like the people to go for the friends that you haven't met yet, the friends that you have and the friends that you haven't met yet, the camping, the being with people, the excitedness of somebody saying, oh my God, you need to check out this band that's going to be on this stage, come over to the vaudeville stage. There's somebody really good coming up. And, it's such just a nice environment in that regard. The people, everyone involved,
it's organic in that way of how it all happens. It's not it's a different kind of experience, right? There's a great a High Sierra lifer, a fellow by the name of Tanner Wire, who used to be OG jam bass staff, wrote this piece called like the High Sierra Music Festival Manifesto or something. It's we published it on the Facebook High Sierra Music Festival site, and it's just a really emotionally charged love letter to High Sierra, and that I think is worth reading. And it speaks to the experience of what High Sierra is and what High Sierra means, and just how it resonates inside of someone who is a deep appreciator of live music and peak experiences. So I did just want to circle back on one thing, about while we're talking about the Dead and next generation musicians. And, I sort of looked at Phil as taking one of those flowers and just doing that and blowing it and having the seed spread all over and having that music continue to grow, because, as we know, the music of the Grateful Dead just continues to get, more and more popular. And that's, in part to the testimony of the strength of the songs that Hunter and Garcia and Weir and Barlow wrote. But it's also a testimony in like Grateful Dead World 2.0 to what Phil did in developing and, like working with and welcoming all this second generation of musicians, from the Lebos of the world and the Luther Dickinsons and the Anders Osborns and the Ross James and the Scott Laws and on and on and on and on and on. I mean, he basically like dipped his little special sauce and magic dust on everybody, and that continues to grow the music and to further cement the Grateful Dead legacy, and as it should be. So last year, at High Sierra, we do a stage. It's called the Play Shop stage, and it's basically like non-traditional sets by bands. They'll either do like a collaborative set or they'll do a theme set. And we had Dogs in a Pile, who I don't know if they ever got to play with Phil or if they got what their relationship was. I know they love the Grateful Dead, and so we had them do a Grateful Dead set last year in the Play Shop room, and it was incredible. They did, I think it was like from 1976, something like that. I mean, it was extraordinary, and
those guys are great, and they're not a Grateful Dead cover band per se, even though you would think so from their name. Dogs in a Pile from He's Gone. But when I was during the pandemic, when we were doing just stream only shows on Deadhead Land, they did a few shows for me, and they let me know. They go, we're not a Dead cover band, but for the Deadhead Land audience, they did like a little mini Dead set, like a 20-minute, Grateful Dead. That was like amazing. They clearly can do that when they're given the opportunity, and then they've got all their great original stuff, which is I really love. I love bands that are like. Well, one of the reasons I love ALO so much is because they are constantly putting out new music. And I think the world, as much as we have so much old music that we love, the world needs new music all the time as well. And, I'm jumping around a little bit, but the play shops are a really cool aspect of High Sierra because unique things happen in the play shops that you just don't, normally see. And I like to think back to Broke Down in Bakersfield, which just was started out with Tim Bloom putting together, I guess, a tribute to the Bakersfield sound of country music. and everybody that played there kind of became a band that then actually toured and put out a record, and then they stopped touring because of marital problems, but then they got back together and they did a few shows recently. And one of my favorite bands, and again with a bunch of the people we've been mentioning in them, the Blooms and Mother Hips and ALO members and Scott Law, and but the play shops are such a unique thing that happens there. And
yeah, we're gonna be announcing the schedule this week, but I'm just gonna give you a couple of little previews right here, right now. So for the last 5 or 6 years or so, Lebo's been doing a play shop where he looks back 50 years. It's called Lebo's 50 in the rear view, and he curates an unbelievable set of music from 50 years ago. So this year it's 1975. And man, what a rich year it was. So that's going to be incredible. I've spoken to him. I don't want to know what he's put together, but it's going to be a star-studded cast of a lot of folks at High Sierra coming up and doing a song or two with him. And it's always an immaculately curated set. So that's going to be pretty special. And then of course there's the High Sierra tradition of Guitarmageddon, which we've done, for 20 years now too, honoring guitar players or focusing on a specific band or a specific theme. And this year, Guitarmageddon is going to do a tribute to Meters from New Orleans, which
very
one
fun,
one of my all-time favorite bands too. So while they weren't necessarily a guitar-driven band, it's ripe for interpretation, and there'll be a lot of players. I mean, you're going to have a hell of a drummer up there to play the Meters music, and basically everybody. I mean, George Porter Jr., it'd be any bass player up there, I'm sure, is a big fan of George and the Meters as well. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And so, the play shops, one of a kind. And that's part of a little part of what makes High Sierra so distinct are things like the play shops.
And I know that High Sierra, I know you're a Jazz Fest person. You go to Jazz Fest a lot, and most years I imagined, and big fan of
47 years in a row.
All right, there you go. And so what I've noticed is that High Sierra is kind of like a merging of a lot of communities. There's a lot of Jazz Fest. I've never been, but I know a lot of people. I have a lot of friends from New Orleans that I've met at High Sierra. I know there's a lot of Burning Man influence and people there. There's Oregon Country Fair. It's kind of like a crossover of all these really wonderful places and gatherings of people. I imagine a lot of that was part of your inspiration, or what inspires you, and part of the driving force of the festival is kind of bringing these different kind of musical communities and experiences together.
Well, again, that's a great point, Happycat. And when I said we came out of the Grateful Dead experience, but Roy was a big fan of the Radiators. Before I started working with Roy, we realized that we were there was one year in New Orleans when Mardi Gras got canceled because of a police strike. So they didn't have any parades that year. And we did, I went to Tulane University, and we did our own parade down St. Charles Avenue with a dozen cars, and we just stopped traffic, and we had Mardi Gras beads, and we just decided to make a parade, just kind of be pranksters and, just throw a wrench in the works. Right. So and Roy was at that parade, and we discovered that, when we became friends and started working together. That was pretty cool. But Roy was a fan of New Orleans music, and especially the Radiators. And then when I came on, that was further cemented in there. So we always have acts from New Orleans every year. And I'll talk about one that we're having this year that people should definitely pay attention to. Well, there's two. There's one band called The Rumble, which is a Mardi Gras Indian funk band, featuring a guitar player by the name of Ari Title, who is just he recently joined Ivan Neville's Dumpster Funk. So he's an incredible guitar player. And the Rumble will be doing two sets. The Rumble, yeah.
The Rumble,
and they've got featuring Chief Joseph Boudreau, who's in full, Mardi Gras Indian regalia, and they're an incredible high energy party band. They'll be closing out the vaudeville tent one night. So that's a great one to keep your eyes out for. And then there's another band called Sally Baby Silver Dollars, and they are it's just a band that you need to see. You know, it's kind of one of these New Orleans sort of vaudevillian Tin Pan Alley bands with horns, a horn section, and a really phenomenal lead singer, Sal, that's where Sally Baby comes from, who is an incredible front man. And it features one of the guys in the band who lives down in New Orleans and just has loved the guys and plays with them every chance he gets, is Oliver Tuttle, who's the trombone player with the California Honey Drops, who are playing today in Stern Grove. But Oliver is part of that band, and the California Honey Drops are going to be on tour during High Sierra, but they come back from tour on Saturday, and Oliver's coming up to the festival to play with Sally Baby Silver Dollars on their Sunday set. So that's going to be super cool.
Very cool. Yeah. I've seen the Honey Drop certainly at High Sierra. They're always so much fun, and then
house band.
Yeah, and they move around and sit in with different people, and I've seen them at camp jams at other
always
kitchen and whatnot. So
always, and Lorenzo from the Honey Drops,
right,
along with Miles Blackwell, who's their 19-year-old bass player, who's just an absolute monster bass player. I call him Baby Jocko because there's like nothing he can't play. They're coming in with another band of theirs, their side project. It's called the Heaters, and they're playing on Sunday. The Heaters are playing on Sunday as well. It's fronted by a singer named Tom Quell, and they're just gorgeous harmonies, really sweet, soulful tunes. And so we're going to have a little bit of Honey Drops sprinkled in at High Sierra on Sunday when those guys get back from tour, and that's always a treat.
Wow. I mean, there's so much good musicianship. All these bands we're mentioning, which are things people may not have heard of, it's all worth checking out. There's sometimes more than you can do because there's something good happening here and here. You have multiple stages, but there's just so much to discover. And then there's, your bigger name bands that you've got headliners. Like I say, you have ALO and Andy Frasco, I know, and
Molly Tuttle,
who's absolutely amazing every time I've ever seen her. And yeah,
Karina
Reichman. So it's a pretty,
Amy Helm spectrum. And Amy Helm and the Midnight Ramble Band. Levon's daughter, who has been doing the Ramble up in the barn in Woodstock for years. And this is actually she's bringing the Ramble Band out, and she told me it's actually the first time that they're touring outside of Woodstock and in the barn. So this is kind of her first foray into bringing Levon's Midnight Ramble experience out on the road and playing a festival. So really honored to have her and the band celebrating the legacy of Levon Helm that he left with us.
Wow. And that, of course, all ties right back to Phil, because that was Phil's inspiration for Terrapin Crossroads was Levon's place. And that Amy just saw her just 2 weeks ago. She was playing with Graham Lesh and the Terrapin All-Stars. They did doing their Terrapin Road shows, and had a chance to talk with her a little bit. She's just so sweet and such a nice person, and was amazing. Just such a great voice, and her mandolin playing. And so I'm sure that'll be a real treat, the Amy Helm Band. And then outside of just the music, there's so much else that happens at High Sierra. I mean, there are parades, and you've got activities for families. It's totally family friendly. It's a great place to bring kids. There's the play shops we mentioned, but there's also the Troubadour sessions, which is another really, really unique thing. Want to talk about that a little? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of one of the hidden gems of High Sierra. It takes place in this small building. It's a mineral building, and it's an acoustic in the round song swap. And so each night we'll take 4 musicians, and they'll be up on this small little platform, and they'll just trade stories and share songs. And sometimes, people will add in a little lick here and there and sort of jump in and chime in. But it's a really phenomenal way when you've been out in this big energy of a festival where you're walking from stage to stage and you're doing so much, and the grandstand stage closes at 11:30 or midnight, and then you kind of get to decompress and you drop into this acoustic oasis, and you just get to sit and close your eyes and take in these stories and gorgeous songs, and it's always remarkably inspirational and really special. And so there's all four of the nights is as special as the next, from John Craigie kicking it off on Thursday night to Dave Alvin on Sunday night with Anna Moss and Steve Pultz and all kinds of folks in between. So those are incredibly special. And again, something that you don't get at a lot of music festivals. I mean, that's just kind of the diverse aspect of High Sierra, and trying to offer different experiences for in the musical setting, right? The play shops, troubadour sessions, the pop-up shows that happen in camps organically and stuff like that. Like it's a music lover's paradise.
Yeah. And for people who haven't been, I would like to say it's a very, very friendly festival. So if you don't know people, you're not part of the camp. I travel solo frequently just because I'm complicated, but I'm hard to have the timing with other people. But I've gone there by myself and ending up with all sorts of great people I already know, but great friends, and you meet new people. If you hear names of camps at Happy Camp or Bitchin' Kitchen, or camps that have been there for a while, you don't have to go as part of a camp. You don't have. You'll find people. You'll explore. You'll find the different campgrounds. There's different options for people. There's camping. I know you have like a really high-end glamping option this year, and there's hotels. Even if you're staying a little ways away, there's like all sorts of different options. I know people go for 4 days. People go for 1 day. So lots of different ways to do the festival.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's the Feather River nearby for daytime dips to dip out of the festival. There's a pool there with showers. Pioneer Park has a Pioneer pool and showers. So that's right there outside of Shady Grove. We've got, we do beer, wine, and spirit tasting, where you can come in and buy a High Sierra souvenir glass and walk around to all the different breweries and wineries and spirit providers that are on site, or spirit partners, and sample little goodies of their stuff. We've got, I think one of the most unique things that we offer for families with young children is a group of professional childcare people called the Rockin' Nannies. And it's basically like private babysitting or group babysitting. And there's signups, and mom and dad can go out on date night, or just drop off the kids and have a little adventure on your own. And the kids are well taken care of with games, activities, movies, things of that nature. So it's a very safe container, first of all. But then if you do want to be completely unfettered and unshackled from your child for a few hours, you can check them in and do the Rockin' Nannies. There's a cost to it because it's basically glamped up babysitting, but it's there for you. And
but that's
they do a
good,
fantastic job.
Great service for people that do want to have a little break. Yeah. And I know, I've seen kids that have grown up at High Sierra. Your son Kai, I know the Leibowitz's daughter, and lots of other kids. It's definitely a family friendly place. It's a safe place to bring your kids, and wow. Well, I don't know what else should we share with people. I really want to encourage people to come to the festival. It's a really good time. Like I say, you can get
we need it. We need the support of the community. It's a really strong community, and it's I think there's some hesitancy this year, especially just with what's going on in the financial world and in the political climate of things, that maybe people haven't committed. But High Sierra really needs the support of the community, and we need the community to show up and continue this thing and keep it going.
And despite everything going on in the world, which is, we're living complicated times, certainly, it's really important even more so than ever for us to have music, for us to have a place to feel ourselves, for and to be able to be in joy, to be able to express joy. In fact, more important than ever, to keep putting that good energy out into the world. And that's a big part of what takes place there. I've personally gotten some of my deepest life's inspiration while been camping at Quincy at High Sierra Festival, sometimes during the music and sometimes just the being there and the connection and the time away from my regular life to reflect. And Deadhead Land, as I've been running it the last 15 years, actually was pretty much inspired at High Sierra 2008. The t-shirt I invented years ago, but my inspiration to kind of do it as a social media thing came forth at High Sierra. So
Have you played Sunrise Kickball?
Oh, yes, indeed. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a High Sierra tradition for, folks that have been up all night, or those are just getting up really early in the morning. But yeah, Sunrise Kickball is a hilarious thing to both witness and participate in.
Yeah, I think most people experience it from the staying up all night side as opposed
Yes.
to waking up in the early morning side. But it's a whole mashup of incredible visuals when you have the late night silent disco on the lawn that eventually segues into Sunrise Kickball. Mm-hmm. It's a sight to participate in and behold.
Yeah. And there is for people that are up to partying all night, there are late night concerts as well that take place after this big stages close. And sometimes those are really, really the most magical goings on as well. There's so many different directions you can go. Any way you turn, you're going to have a great time.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm really looking forward to the festival this year. So many great memories that I've had there, and like I said, just for whatever reasons, I haven't been able to get there for a few years. But this seems like a year, and I really do hope that you have a big turnout and that a lot of people get the message that this is a really good time and a really great community to be a part of. And great way to spend your 4th of July weekend.
Well, I will say, if you've ever thought about coming to High Sierra, this is the year to do it.
Okay, very good. And this is the 33rd year, correct?
33rd year. Yeah, you can see, pretty much what you need to informationally. Just go to our website, highsierramusic.com. Follow us on socials on the High Sierra Music Festival page. There's also a High Sierra Music Festival community page, which is run by the community, and there's always a lot of helpful information on there. But yeah, this is year 33 for us, and it's 33 it's a 33. It's a beautiful number.
It is, and really phenomenal. And congratulations on keeping it going. And like I say, bring it back after the couple years of cancellation. And I think a lot of that is your just faith that it's going to work out. That this is something that the world needs, and we're going to keep it going. And I'd like to encourage people to come and join us. It's a really good time. It's a great place to be. You need the break from the world. Come up to Quincy for 3 or 4 days. Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Well,
all right, Dave.
I look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah. Well, very good. Well, thank you so much, and look forward to seeing you there too. Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you. Thanks
for having me on Deadhead Land today.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. All right. We'll see you soon. Bye, Dave.
Okay.
All right. So I'd like to encourage you to go. I'm going to share a little music with you now. For those of you that are still tuned in here, I've got a couple of clips queued up from some past High Sierra Music Festivals. So let's see. I think the first one I'm going to do is Scott Law, Ross James, Cosmic Twang. They had an amazing lineup that included Luther Dickinson and Lebo, Scott Padden on bass, and Alex Koford on drums. So here we go with that. Let me, I know how to do this thing where I share the video. There we go. No. Here we go. Enjoy. Hey now, and just to keep things going, I just want to give you a few different styles of music that can happen at High Sierra. So I've got something else for you now. This is a band called the Nth Power that over the years has done tributes to different things, and this was a tribute to Marvin Gaye. So this is the Nth Power with Sexual Healing. Let's see this video.
One more time here. Baby, I'm hot just like oven. Literally loving. Baby, I can't hold it much longer. It's getting stronger inside me. When I get that feeling, I want sexually, sexual healing, baby. Oh, makes me feel so fine. Has to relieve my mind. Know it's good for us. It's sexual healing, baby. It's good for me. It's sexual healing is something that's good for me.
All righty, and on to my next clip here to share with you. Let's see here. I've got a couple others here lined up. I've got hearing myself in double speak there. Let's see what else I've got here for you. All right, looking up, we've got here coming up. Oh, this is a really fun one. It was a play shop that was a tribute to the music of The Clash, but Eric McFadden threw in a Sex Pistols song. This is not something you normally hear at High Sierra, but this was pretty rocking, and I think it kind of fits for what's going on in the world right now. So here's Eric McFadden with "God Save the Queen."
To
Hey now, and yeah, so while that's not like normally you're not going to hear a lot of punk rock music there at High Sierra, that was really fun that year. You're going to hear all sorts of stuff, you know, from bluegrass to funk to some hip hop to some techno, but mostly focused on stuff with music. I do want to mention in the techno realm, there's the band Boombox, which features Zion Godchow, which is Keith and Donna's son. And aside from an occasional really technified shakedown, they don't really do Grateful Dead covers. But like I said, they're like Dave was saying too, there's so much just tying to the Grateful Dead family, to the connection. So Boombox is another great band. I'm going to end the show here with a clip from, we had mentioned that Bob Weir played there once, 2008. Just a kind of interesting story for those of you that are fans of Rat Dog and followed the band. If you remember back in 2008, there was a show, I believe, down in San Diego where Bob was the story. I don't know. The official story was that he was really sick and had kind of overdone it a little bit on some cough medicine and couldn't come out and play that night. And the members of Rat Dog, Mark and Robin and Jay, they did a primarily instrumental Rat Dog set that night because Bob couldn't come out and sing. And so everybody was really concerned about him being at High Sierra a couple days later. And Bob came out at High Sierra. He played the Saturday night show, main stage, grandstand stage, and just killed. It was really one of the best Rat Dog shows I've seen. I saw a lot of Rat Dog. I know people's opinions on Rat Dog are mixed, but I really liked the band, and he killed it. And I happened to have been working on the kitchen crew that year, and so I remember when Bob and Natasha came through but before the show, and he didn't really want to eat a lot. He said, I'll just have some corn. There was some corn on the cob, which thrilled me because I had been preparing the corn all day. And then afterwards he did say it was like some of the best corn he had ever eaten, but he was taking it really easy. I saw he had like a ginseng tea. He was taking it really easy just to be in good shape for the show since he had been sick a couple nights before. So it's interesting to see that perspective. And then Bob and the band did a fantastic show there at High Sierra. It was really a treat to see Rat Dog there. So that's what I'm going to close out here is Rat Dog doing Dark Star, High Sierra Music Festival Grandstand Stage 2008. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you hopefully at Quincy, California, July 3rd through 6th, 2005, coming right up, 2025, coming right up, highsierramusic.com. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in, and here we go with Rat Dog doing Dark Star.
Reflections